I was going to play the Justified theme coming into this segment, but I'm like, the Man in Black seems to suit the legendary Nick Searcy the best. And so I had to play one of my favorite Johnny Cash tracks for him coming in. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch with you. You can listen coast to coast. You can find us terrestrially in hundreds of markets. Stream the radio show, Channel 347 DirecTV, Rumble, X, everywhere else. Nick Searcy doesn't really need a lot of introduction. He's in one of my favorite television series, Justified, although I haven't started the new one, which came out, I think it was July last year. But I've watched the original one, and I love his character of Art Mullen. He is such an acerbic smartass in that. I love that character. But he's done so many great films, and he's the type of guy who has made a career for himself where he can say what he wants and do what he wants, and people respect his body of work enough where they're like, all right, we're not gonna say anything to you. Not many people in Hollywood have that. And then if you still try to mess with him, he'll beat you over the head with his Peabody. And he joins us now via Skype. Nick Searcy, congratulations. You got a new book that is out that gets into some of what we were just talking about. It's called Justify This, A Career Without Compromise, and it comes out later this month. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dana. It's good to see you again. As you can see, I'm like now portraying an intelligent author of a book. So this is my costume I have on.
You don't need a costume. That's who you are. You wear many hats. That's who you are. So this book you get into because you have one of the most interesting careers, and you are unashamedly honest about your political beliefs. I mean, I don't know anyone else who could actually tell the story of what is happening with these people who have been persecuted and prosecuted following J6 with the film you did or the Gosnell film that you also did, and be so honest and transparent with it. And then you're still making hits in television and in film. How is that possible? That's what I mean, because everyone else gets canceled but you.
I don't really understand it either, Dana. I mean, maybe they don't know who I am. Maybe they don't listen to alternative media, so they don't hear me talking anywhere. But I'm not sure why. I'm sure there are certain people in Hollywood that say, no, we don't want to work with that guy. But I get enough work. I mean, I've got a Netflix series coming out next year with Nicole Kidman that I have a nice little role in. And I'm actually releasing a sequel to Capital Punishment on May 17th. Mm-hmm. The War on Truth, which is, continuing to tell the story of how the January 6th people have been treated.
And that I just got to touch on that, because when you look at what's happening on the college campuses and the vandalism and the broken windows, and I watched many videos from these campus riots across the country where they're screaming at cops, like racial slurs at police officers. And these are like white Hamas supporters. Nothing with those people. But then if you're walking past the Capitol on January 6th, you're thrown into jail and your life's ruined.
Yeah. Well, the protesters on college campuses are protesters that this government supports. They want those protests to happen because those protests are tearing down the fabric of American society. And the people who went to Washington on January 6th believe in the Constitution and believe in America. Those are the biggest enemies to this administration, people who love America.
I think that's a fair point because, I mean, you can tell by the legal prosecution that effort as well. You in Capital Punishment, in this movie that you did, which was really powerful, and there was a lot of stuff in there that I was even unaware of in following this. I was amazed by some of the justification for charges that were given in a way to go after these people. I mean, they went after grandmothers. There were 3 grandmothers in jail, like with people who saw all these people going in, and security, Capitol security, waving them in, and they would go in and they were all very polite, looking around, and then they left. And then the next thing they know, they get unlawful parading or some kind of charge that they try to ratchet up to a felony. And this affected hundreds of people.
Yes, and it's continuing to happen. They've arrested more people this year already than they arrested last year because they're continuing to go after people. They've run out of people that actually went inside, and Matthew Graves, the district attorney, announced that they're going to start going after people who just were standing around outside because, according to him, they had already entered a restricted area. And in our movie, The War on Truth, you can see the people removing the signs. Before the people walk from the ellipse to the Capitol, they're taking down all the signs that say you're entering a restricted area, stay out. So these people didn't know that they were entering a restricted area. But that doesn't matter.
Yeah, how does that not factor into the prosecutorial decision with us? That's what I don't get. I mean, it's like deliberate.
Well, because the point of this is not justice. They're not trying to do something to bring justice to these people. What they're doing is sending a message and saying, if you resist us, this is what will happen to you. Do you see what we're doing to these people? Keep your mouth shut no matter what we do, or we'll do this to you.
Why did you choose to tell these stories in this film?
Well, I was there myself on January the 6th, and what I saw there that day didn't match anything that I saw in the media. So that's what started me on the journey of talking to these people. And the more I talked to them, the more outraged I got, and the madder I became. And I said, "This is not right. Nobody's telling these people's stories. The media is not telling these people's stories. The media, in fact, demonizes these people and ruins their reputations in their neighborhoods, and their businesses get closed. They lose their jobs. They can't be employed. They're literally trying to ruin these people." And so I just felt like nobody else is. And I want to tell these people's stories.
Yeah, and I don't think that they would be widely known had you not done this. We're talking with our friend Nick Searcy. If you're listening to the radio program, or if you're watching, you can see him on the simulcast. It's similar to how they did how they treated activists with the Tea Party. And I'm always I don't know why I'm amazed, but the way that they treat Antifa or burn, loot, murder, or now even the college protesters. Those protesters, by way of their political persuasion and affiliation, they're virtuous. Their protests, Nick, are virtuous. If they break windows, it's a virtuous cause. It's what was it? The cries of the unheard, I think, is how one judge characterized one of these BLM rioters. But with everyone else, they're the terrorists. And I don't think that that's playing well in the minds of the public anymore. Do you?
No, it's not playing well, but what we have to realize is that totalitarian societies are never established by a majority. It's a minority of people that take power, and then they use the media to propagandize everybody and terrorize everybody and intimidate them into accepting whatever comes. So that's why these protests are happening now. The people that are protesting on campuses now are the same people that protested at BLM, same people that did Occupy Wall Street all years ago. It's the same people. They're trying to make America unsafe so that the only source of any sort of safety is the government.
When you speak on these issues and you do these projects and then you go and you do your work, I'm so curious as to how you're received. Because you're Nick Searcy and everyone's like, he's that guy. He's that crazy patriotic terrorist.
I gotta say, they act like they don't know. When I'm on the set, nobody speaks to me about that. It's like, hey, how you been? Whatever. It's like when I guest hosted for Rush Limbaugh long ago, I was really worried about what that would do to my career. And my friend Adam Baldwin said, they won't even know you did it. They Limbaugh, just don't tell anybody. They won't even know. And I think that might be what's happening. I don't know. I'd never get confronted. I never have.
Yeah.
Might happen to this, but I never have.
Because you played a chief U.S. Marshal in Justified, and then you're watching law enforcement with regards to J6. I'm just curious, like your portrayal in it as a U.S. Marshal and figure of authority. And then, exploring this in the film, and then, of course, the sequel to this that you have coming out on May 17th. How did one inform the other? Like, is there a relationship there? Like, did that help you in terms of how you were approaching organizing these stories and showcasing them for people?
Well, yeah, in a way, I guess it did. I've played a lot of cops. I've played a lot of over the years. There's been an awful lot of cops because I'm not the leading man. So if you're not the guy kissing the girl, you're either the cop.
You're the leading man in the scenes that you're in, though.
Right. Well, I'm a leading man trapped in a character actor's body. That's what happens. That's what I go into in the book. But,
look at that book cover.
But yeah, it did inform me in a way, and mostly in the way that I was shocked at the way these real life policemen are acting, because it's like that would never fly in Justified. That would never fly for my character to be doing the things that these people are doing, because what the FBI is doing is basically terrorizing peaceful citizens. breaking down their doors at 6 a.m., people that have never been arrested for anything before in their lives, they're treating them like they're about to blow the world up. And it none of it makes any sense except when you accept that it's deliberate, that they're doing this on purpose to intimidate.
When I first watched Capital Punishment and I was following some of these cases, it didn't surprise me to see the abuse so much by some members of law enforcement after what happened. I don't know if you're familiar with what happened in Wisconsin after the recall of Scott
Yeah.
Walker, when they were
Yeah.
showing up in the middle of the night to these innocent people, no criminal record. They just happened to help with a recall effort. And they were dragging them out in the front lawn at 3 a.m. And the media just happened to be tipped off and they happened to be there and were able to snap pictures of the wife in her nightgown and the terrified kids. When I first saw that happening in Wisconsin, that shocked me. I think that was, I don't want to sound naive, but that seemed like, wow, our law enforcement, our federal law can do that. And then when I was watching your movie, I'm like, of course they can. So like the span of time that I went from being completely naive to, that I was like, of course they can do that. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
That's a quick timeline though. But has it always been that way, or has it been that way recently? More
I
so
think
recently.
I think it's been revealed recently. I think it's been that way for a while. And I think that this has been a long march through the institutions of our country. They have corrupted every institution that I can think of, the education system, Hollywood, the military. They've corrupted it all. And by now it's the COVID vaccine stuff.
Yeah.
Help them drum out anybody in their ranks that was going to resist them. So now you have an FBI that is pretty much just a tool of the Democrat Party that's in charge, or the Uniparty, whatever it is. There's some of the Republicans are just as bad.
Yeah.
So,
And the two tiers of justice. We were just talking about this New York case a little bit ago, and how, you can have a particular charge that exceeds, past the statute limitations, but yet Alvin Bragg decides to fabricate this straw man out of another charge that really isn't a charge. I mean, if this really can happen to anyone, and then you have Hunter Biden that can walk scot-free away from, felonious activity with a firearm while he's coked out with strippers. It's amazing.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what you see in our movie, is like this is happening to your friends and neighbors, normal people that you go to church with, that your kids go to school with, and it can happen to anyone. They can target anyone because, like you just said, the justice side of it doesn't matter. What matter is, what side are you on?
Right.
Are you on their side, or are you against them?
This, your book, Justify This, A Career Without Compromise, which comes out May 28th. And of course, then the sequel to Capital Punishment, which comes out, and that's capitalpunishmentthemovie.com is the website. That comes out on May 17th.
Actually, the movie is now called The War on Truth.
The War on Truth. Yes.
warontruthmovie.com. Yeah.
warontruthmovie.com. I have not read your book yet. And I always like, whenever I have people on, especially somebody like you, I like to support. So I like to buy, the book, and maybe buy some to, give to some folks. Tell us a story about you that we have never heard before. Cause I feel like I've read a lot about you, and I feel like I could probably, I got some story, but tell me something that nobody knows.
Well, I'm not sure if nobody knows. It's probably little known, but I had a run-in with Sean Penn that was pretty interesting, that I go into in the book, where I did a couple of things with Sean Penn. I did a movie with him, and we were sort of friends. We were kind of acquaintances. But at one point, somebody, I guess, told him about my political leanings, and he wrote me a pretty nasty email. And I wrote him back and sort of said, I was kind of nice. I said, I disagree with you, but, I respect you as an actor. I had a great time in the movie with you, and whatever. And he wrote me back saying, why did you even accept the role, knowing what my politics were, and I don't give a damn about your respect. And so I kind of, I wound up telling him congratulations on your Oscar, and, maybe you can take that thing and shove it up your ass.
I was getting ready to say, where's that Nick Searcy? Where's that Nick Searcy response? I'm waiting for it. One last thing. I saw that you left California, and you moved to America. And it looks beautiful where you're at. How much are you loving life right now, not being in Hollywood?
It's so nice, and it's so different. And the thing I tell people, the most different thing about it is the quality of the people, and how nice and helpful they are. I mean, and I think that's because most of the people here where I am are happy. The people in California are so annoyed and so bitter and miserable and overtaxed and, the traffic and everything. It's like people here are pretty pleasant. They're pretty happy.
Yeah, there you are. Nick Searcy, the book, awesome. Justify This: A Career Without Compromise. That is out May 28th, and War on Truth, the movie as well.com. That's May 17th. And congratulations, as always. And thank you for not just the entertainment that you provide, but also the advocacy as well, and bringing your talent to tell the stories of these people who are persecuted and unheard. We're grateful. Thank you, my friend. Good to talk with you.
Thank you, Dana. Have me
course.
back after you read the book, and then we'll talk about that.
Yes, we will. We're going to. Thank you. Good to see you, Nick.